Bass guitar arpeggios. This video has got some really important essentials we need to know as a bass player. It leads us to do things like this. That's an arpeggio, or things like this. Etc, etc. But let's get to the main purpose of this video, to learn arpeggios and where to find them and how to apply them. Now, you must have your PDF with you, please, otherwise this entire video will be very difficult to follow. So you should have a PDF entitled Arpeggio Bass, either on your screen or printed out. And we're going to start at the top where it says major in blue, and it's got major, major 7, dominant 7, and then you go to the next row and it says minor, minor 7, you've got that. And then on the right of that it says notes on the E string. Now we're going to start playing from the note G because we have to start somewhere. Okay, so first lesson is this note, 3rd fret, you can see the note at the top there. This is G. And we're going to look at the G major arpeggio. Now first of all, you might ask yourself, well, what is a G major arpeggio? Why do I want to learn this? And the answer is not because Ian says so. Okay, it's to make you more creative, to give you more options, to let you have some fun. Otherwise, you're just going to do this. And that, let's be honest, can get a little bit repetitive, which is a polite word for boring. All right, so onto your diagram. It says major, it's your top left-hand diagram in the arpeggios page, and we're starting with middle finger. Please make sure you use the same finger notations that I'm using as well. My fingers have been numbered to make it easier for you. And your first note, like we said, is G. The second note is here. I'm not going to call out the names because it's not relevant for this lesson. Later, definitely, but not for this video. So your first 2 notes, starting on G. Then we go to that note. Get the pinky nice and stretched. You'll notice the pinky is going all the way to fret 5 on the 3rd string. And then you jump down with the pinky for the octave. So if I had paint under each fingertip, just bear with me, and I did this, I would have a total of 4 dots, and those 4 dots would look the same as the diagram on the PDF file that you have to accompany this video. This is called the G major arpeggio. For example, that's just using a rhythm application to it, which we can change. So you can build with it and do what you want. Now, what an arpeggio is, basically on bass we don't strum. So if I did this, for example, that didn't sound cool. So the guitarist is going to be strumming away, so your guitarist is going to do something like this. That is a chord, which obviously, as we heard, didn't sound cool on bass guitar. So while your guitarist is going, for example, we want to imply that chord on our bass guitar. So we're going to take the notes of this chord, which happen to be G, B, and D, and there you can hear those are the same notes you learnt on the bass. So let's get back to the bass. And we're back. So instead of just going, we can now use this major arpeggio to build a more creative bass phrasing. Okay, if you move it from this note to that note, in other words, from the G to the A, from fret 3 to fret 5, and you can validate this by looking on your PDF where it says notes on the E string. You'll see at fret number 3, it's called G. Fret number 4, there's a G hash mark, which is G sharp, and an A with a lowercase b, which is A flat. So G sharp and A flat are essentially the same, a study for another day. And then we're on to A over here. So if I take this shape and I move it from here, I now suddenly have an A arpeggio. So what I've done, instead of strumming the chords on bass, which we know now doesn't sound cool, we have picked the notes that make up the chords that your guitarist played. I'm going to quickly play that phrase again, and then I'm going to switch to guitar, and you can compare it. So listen carefully. Here's your G to A, for example. That's your G and A. And on guitar, G to A will sound like this. You can hear the similarity. So let's revise. What have we learned so far? We've learned that this sequence of notes starting on the highlighted blue dot, this they call the root note, R-O-O-T, root note, or the bass note for the chord. We've got a major shape. That is the major shape, and wherever I play it, wherever I start playing from, determines what major chord. From fret 5, it's A major. If I do it from fret 7, it's B. If I do it from fret 8, C. And you can change the rhythm, you can play it backwards, you can go. You can really be creative. So experiment with them once you've learned them. So now you say, okay, what about if the guitarist is playing A minor? So the chord is A minor, for example. You find the note A, and you look on your PDF file for the diagram that says minor, which I'm going to play now. And you'll find it on the top, next to your major, just to the right of it. And it starts with first finger this time. Pinky goes to fret 8, down to the third finger, and then the octave again. So here's your minor arpeggio. And here's your major arpeggio. Can you hear the difference? Okay, so one more time, the minor. They refer to the minor as sort of dark or sad, or sort of creating suspense almost. And the major they refer to as sort of positive or happy. And if I take it to G, here's G major, G minor. Can you hear the difference in the tonality between the two? Now, what we've learned so far, we've learned the major shape, we've learned the minor shape. We know the difference between the two is the major has this note, the minor has that note. On the chord sheet, if it just says A or just G, you automatically assume they mean major. If they want you to use a minor arpeggio, they must stipulate with a small lowercase m, G minor, G, M, for example. Now, later we look at the applications of this. This is first of all just to learn how to play them. Now, I'm not going to do the major sevenths and minor sevenths in those yet. We're going to skip now to the second way. It says the notes are in green, and it says notes on the A string. Now you'll notice similarities kicking in over here, and the similarity over here is if I take that original major and I take everything one string down, nothing has changed other than the strings are playing on. So the shape is movable. You can take the shape to different places, and the sequence of events, for example, the sequence of events, the sequence of how your fingers move for the major shape remain constant. That's a very important lesson. So repeat after me. This is the major shape. And wherever I play this shape, it's still implying the major chord. And whatever note I start on, it becomes that major chord. So if it's from fret 4, it's G sharp, G hash mark, remember I mentioned that earlier. And if I use this shape, for example, and I go from the A string, your third from the bottom, and I do the minor shape, and now whatever this root note is, it becomes that minor. Now, we haven't dealt with what is that note yet. That note is C, for example, and you'll find that in green, your note has been color-coded. Please, if you can print it out, please print it in color. This makes it a little bit easier as a reference. And keep track of what string you're on, otherwise it's not going to work well. So that is C, for example, so it's C minor. There's that minor sound. And if I did the major shape, there's the major sound, and it would be a C major. Now, let's take, for example, a song like Brown Eyed Girl, which is quite easy. It's simply G, C, G, and D. That's the basic of the song. There is a turnaround of an E minor, but let's look at the just basic intro structure. I can do this. G, and G, and D. That sounds cool, sounds fun, but check how nice this is. That sounds a lot more like the original. What we've done there is we've learned that this is G, so I play the G major arpeggio, and I'm not putting the octave in, I'm just going. Then underneath that, if I look at my notes on the A string, I found C. And then after that, I'm going to come back to the E string once more to the top, and I'm going to play. And I've got my G major arpeggio. And then for D, I would find the note D on the A string, fret 5. Now yes, I could also have played it like this, but this is a lot of work. Okay, check this out. Same thing. I could have done that as well, but that doesn't make sense. It's unnecessary hand movement. So what's important over here, what I want us to walk away with from this video, is I want us to know the importance of knowing where are my notes. You need to know that's a G, that's a A, that's a B, that's a C, that's a D. These notes are on the PDF file. I need to know when I get to the A string, for example, that this is C, D, E, F. And yes, we could have actually mentioned that this was an F as well and a B over here. But learn the notes. This is not negotiable. We need this to be a good bass player. And then the second part or goal of this video is to learn the major arpeggio shape. Use the same fingers as I'm using. So all the majors, we start with the middle finger. Sorry, not being rude. So all your majors, wherever you play them, E flat major from the A string, fret 6. You can see that on your PDF. Major shape. And then all your minor shapes as well. There's only one minor shape, but you can move it. So I wanted E flat minor. And notice for the minors, we start with the first finger. Now, let's take it one step further and say, for example, you're playing Stand By Me, old Benny King song, and you're going to go A to F sharp. The guitarist will play a minor chord, and then D, and E, and A, and E. That sounds fun, sounds cool. So all the chords are major excepting the F sharp minor. So what I'm going to do, A major, F sharp minor, D, E, A. And that sounded quite cool. So easy, very basics, but the arpeggios help us get more creative bass lines. That's the goal of this video. So what you want to know is major shape, minor shape, and all your notes on the neck. I know I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm repeating it because it's important. Later we'll look at the sevenths and the minor 7 flat 5s and all the other crazy stuff. And I haven't touched on the orange yet, because the orange is going to start on the second string, which means I'm going to go, oops, got no more strings left. So I'm not going to do that on this video. That's a study for another day. So the goals over here, learn all the notes on your E and A string, that string and that string. And just quickly to finish off, I want to focus just quick on your picking technique. I want to get the camera a bit more upright now. There we go. And notice I'm going to play a G major arpeggio because you should know that. Watch what my thumb does. It's very close to the string. And as I go to the next note, my thumb mutes that fourth string. And then when I go to the octave, the thumb up's down. So you can actually see the thumb movement. And if I play a C major arpeggio, resting on the fourth, and the thumb comes down. And the purpose there is to help control string noise. So don't have unnecessary vibration, is unnecessary strings making noise that I'm not playing. So try and get your thumb there. It also keeps your hand in a fixed position. So that's going to help a lot. So any questions, drop me a WhatsApp. Hope you enjoyed the video. Know your arpeggios. Thank you.